in that wide left role. Jack Grealish is not in the matchday squad today. The Etihad has never been more of a fortress for City. They've won every single home game this year across all competitions. 23 wins, no draws, no defeats. And with a record like that, it's no surprise that Jurgen Klopp described them as the strongest team in the world in his pre-match press conference. Mo Salah scored 4 in one game for Egypt during the break. He's also scored in all 4 meetings with City last season. Klopp has resisted bringing Luis Diaz into the side, so it's Diego Jota and Darwin Núñez joining Salah in attack. Since defeat here in April, Liverpool have lost just once in 23 league games, and that was the defeat with 9 men at Spurs. So we are watching the top 2. Liverpool just a point behind Manchester City. This time last season, they were 13 behind them, and they know if they can beat the champions today, they will go to the top of the table. Down at the bottom, the big news to emerge during the break was a points deduction for Everton. They were deducted 10 points following a breach of the Premier League's profitability and sustainability rules. It means they dropped from 14th to second bottom, currently 2 points adrift from safety, with Luton moving out of the relegation zone. And Luton, one of the teams we're going to watch later on in a 5-game goal rush, headlined by Newcastle against Chelsea. Newcastle have won their last 4 home Premier League games at St James's Park without conceding a goal. West Ham are at Burnley, Palace are Luton's opposition, Forest welcome Brighton, Bournemouth are at Sheffield United, and the final game of the day is Mikel Arteta's 200th in charge of Arsenal as they have a London derby against Brentford. Well, in recent times, this has been the Premier League's footballing rivalry. We're all set for the latest chapter in Manchester today. Welcome back. The Premier League is back, and what a game to return with. And with these 3 gentlemen alongside me today, we've got every angle covered. Double Champions League winners, Invincibles, Premier League winners, treble winners. We've got it all with Steve McManaman, Kolo Touré and Ida Gudjohnsen. Good to see you 3 gentlemen. Why does this fixture bring back good memories for you? Liverpool away at Manchester City.
Why does it?
Yeah.
But not at the Etihad.
No.
Well, I scored my first ever goal. And it was a header.
Diving header.
A diving header.
Yeah.
So it was a very unique goal for me, yeah.
What about this current Liverpool? What about this current Liverpool team? Could this be a defining day, particularly if they don't avoid defeat in the title?
Yeah, I think so, because the standard bearers are Manchester City, aren't they? They're the class team. What they achieved last year. So if you can go to the Etihad and get a decent result, I don't necessarily think they need to win the game. Of course, you just don't want to be beaten against your closest rivals. So I think if they play well, Liverpool, which they have been doing, I can't see them not playing well today. It should be a great game, but I don't necessarily think it's a season-defining game, as much as we'd like to say all about the hype.
What about your former club, Manchester City? 23 home wins in a row. I mean, how difficult is this place to go to at the moment?
It's a fortress. When you go there, you know you're going to have a tough time. The way they control the game, the way they play, the manager, intensity on the player to keep them on the toe, to making sure they keep performing is incredible. What a great place to play.
And what a great game to watch, Ida. I mean, is this the game everyone in the world wants to see today with these 2 teams?
Oh yeah, of course. Top 2 in the league. Liverpool arguably one of the only team, in my opinion, that could actually challenge Manchester City this season. So, like Stephen was saying, don't lose today. Just keep Man City close, keep the margin close, and you can always put pressure on them.
Okay, much more to come, but we can go to the Etihad Stadium now. Ian Irvin is there for us today, and he can add a little bit more details on this interesting team news, Ian.
Yes, thanks, Steve. Of course, the biggest news, like you mentioned before, is that Erling Haaland is fit to start here this afternoon. He's been managing an ankle problem of late for Manchester City. Pep Guardiola said in his press conference yesterday that he actually has some niggles at the moment. That includes the ankle, of course. He came back from international duty with Norway early to try and be ready for this game. There was no way, I think, that he was missing the match against Liverpool. And as well, he's never scored against Liverpool in the Premier League either. He'll be looking to put that right, of course, this afternoon. Just one change then for City from that 4-4 draw against Chelsea before the break. Nathan Ake also has missed matches during this international break with injury, but he's fit enough to start as well. Josko Vardiol drops down to the bench. Ederson is okay. He starts the game. There's a surprise name on the bench for City with the sight of John Stones back much sooner than expected from a muscle problem. It's a bench that is only 8 players long, 2 of those are goalkeepers as well. No sign of Jack Grealish in the squad today for Manchester City. He's ill. Jeremy Doku starts once again on the left wing. For Liverpool, that team shows 2 changes from the team that beat Brentford 3-0 before the international break. Alexis McAllister is back from suspension. He starts in midfield alongside Curtis Jones, who has missed the last 3 games with a hamstring problem. Cody Gakpo and Wataru Endo drop down to the bench for Liverpool. There's a start in attack for Darwin Nunez, which is interesting because after the international break so far this season, Jurgen Klopp has kept him on the bench. This time he starts, and of course Mohamed Salah as well, standing on the brink of history. His record in this fixture of late has been brilliant, like you've mentioned, and 1 goal today, giving him the first African player ever in the history of the competition to get 150. There's usually something about these big occasions that bring the best out in him as well.
Absolutely, and thank you very much indeed. Let's have a look then. Let's start with Liverpool, because there's some interesting choices in there, as Ian was saying. Most notably Nunez. I mean, you felt, Macca, didn't you, that Nunez and Diaz couldn't play after the internationals. Are you surprised it's Nunez and not Diaz?
No, because Nunez has been in good form. Admittedly, they both had a really successful international break with their respective countries, but I knew that McAllister, Nunez and Diaz couldn't play. You know, they only got back on Thursday mid-afternoon, and the turnaround to play all of them, I think, would have been too much. So it was a toss of a coin whether it was going to be Nunez or Diaz. The fact that Jota's been at the training ground, I've seen him in training the last few days, it didn't surprise me that he played. So, and I actually thought Curtis Jones would come in as well, because Jurgen really trusts him now to work hard and keep hold of the ball. And the only question